Welcome, everyone. I'm Amy Seeley, president of Seeley Test Pros and Leap, helping students to succeed in all kinds of tests from 8th grade to grad school throughout Ohio.
And I'm Mike Bergen, president of Chariot Learning and TestBright, helping students and teachers alike exceed their educational goals based out of Rochester, New York.
Between the two of us today, we have over 65 years of experience at the highest levels of the test preparation and supplemental education industries.
We both love to talk and learn about the latest issues in education, testing, and admissions. So let's get down to tests and the rest. The fascinating topic we want to explore today is ourselves. Welcome to the June 2026 episode of EXTEMP with Amy and Mike. How are you, Amy?
I am doing so well. I've been so excited for this particular conversation we're going to have, Mike.
I can tell you're doing well because you are in a hotel room in Prague right now.
That is true, but that's not even how the fun of the month began. So we're going to back it up and then we'll take it into the present. How about that?
Okay, that sounds good, right? I mean, this has been a busy month, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, we've had 2 months in a row that we've gotten to hang out together. So we got to do IECA in May, and now, of course, we had our wonderful trip to Chicago for the NTPA conference, which, by the way, like you and I now not being on the board and essentially being privy to all of the work and all of the planning involved in holding a national conference. And it was so much fun to go and have virtually no responsibilities, right?
Well, we did a ton. And first, I mean, we should point out this was the largest National Test Prep Association conference ever with over 60 new attendees. We're not talking
Crazy.
about return, we're talking about 60 new attendees.
Hmm.
So many old friends to see, so many new friends. And you and I actually did a lot of social activity around the conference, right? Where did we start the conference? Or where did we start our Chicago journey?
Well, we started it in a northern suburb for a really cool get together that Scott Greenspan held for a bunch of us, as well as
Mhm.
having one of our IEC friends, Beth Kramer, who showed up at the party. We got to hang out with her and a bunch of other test prep friends, which was a cool way to launch the weekend, right? Or the
Totally,
events.
totally great way to ease into it. You say we didn't have any responsibilities, but we actually helped move all the material that was shipped to
Actually,
Chicago
that
to
is
the
true.
hotel.
Actually, that was a like that was our like that was my limited, responsibility of pack up my car, drive the
It was
stuff
essential.
down.
It was
But
essential service.
it went seamlessly. So at least it felt like it was not a huge responsibility.
We stayed downtown at the Drake, which was utterly cool.
Amazing
And
hotel.
and you were not alone on this trip. You brought some younger Sealies with you.
Oh yes, exactly. No, Annie and Katie. And by the way, Katie Seeley, my 21-year-old daughter, she absolutely loved every minute of hanging
She's
out.
so fun.
She
She's
can't stop
so
talking,
fun.
and
Yeah.
she's already like, Mom, I'm going to Miami in December for
Yeah.
the next NTP. She's
She's
hankering for
smart.
the next. Yeah, now she
She
feels like,
inherited both your intelligence and your wanderlust.
but it was cool because you know how it is. Our kids always are like, yeah, my parents, what we do, whatever. And she, to some extent, is like that. However, she's been doing projects for me, and so she's slowly crept into the space of, well, what is this
Mhm.
space like? And I think our community, our friends, our colleagues did a wonderful job of like welcoming her, helping her to do some tasks she was doing, for the NTPA. And so it's pretty heartwarming when your kid
Everybody was excited to see her.
falls
Look, you
in
you
love with
make
your
test
friends.
prep fun, so I understand if 3 out of 5 of your kids go into the industry, that's pretty phenomenal.
Right, exactly, in some capacities. But then, of course, we on Sunday, once we arrived, we did boat tour in Chicago, right?
Yeah,
The
that
lake and the
so
river, which was
the
great.
Lake and River architecture tour was really so much better than I expected it to be.
Yeah, I'd done that
What a
before.
great way to see the heart of the city.
Totally. And the weather was beautiful. We had beautiful weather.
No, I thought it was freezing. It was so cold.
Well, I mean, it was cooler, but I'm like, fast forward to where I am right now. I
Yeah,
will,
right.
I will take those 67-degree temperatures.
It's like 67 Celsius where you are right now.
Yeah, the conference was great. The sessions were great.
It was fantastic.
The food was good. And then, of course, um, we capped it off with where do we go after the conference events were all over?
First, we went to spend time in another suburb,
Mhm.
right?
We did.
Who did we
Yeah.
see there?
We went to see Lisa Hillhouse, another who has also been on the podcast before, an IC friend who
Multiple times.
who was so gracious and welcoming us to her new home in Chicago. She's moved from Atlanta to Chicago, and then we had some snacks, and then we made our way over to a Cubs
To
game at
Wrigley
Wrigley Field.
Field, right? It's funny because every time I talk to people from Chicago, they ask if the Cubs won, and I'm like, of course they didn't.
Right. I mean,
They
when
won.
even I'm a Cleveland Guardians fan, but when I'm in another city and my team is not playing, I was rooting for the Cubs, so I was sad the Cubs
Of
did
course. Well,
not
you know,
win that
it's
game.
funny because I was sitting next to Heidi Wright, who used to live in Denver. She used to live in Colorado,
Mhm.
and she had on
Oh,
a Colorado Rockies
yeah,
jersey, and so she
yeah.
was excited at least.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, but it was great. This conference, we always try to take in the cities we visit, but I really felt like this time we had such an authentic Chicago experience. And thanks to Scott being the sort of local Chicago NTPA member and board member, Michael
And the
Jordan
rest of
did a
the
great
conference
job.
committee did a great job. MJ
They
did a
did.
great job. I felt like it was really fun to do the things that we described with a huge bunch of our colleagues. A
Yeah,
bunch of us were on the boat, a bunch of
right.
us were at the game, and that made it so much more fun.
Yeah. And I got to share that with my youngest Annie. So Annie got to take in all these events too. So she had her own little mini vacay.
It was so
Um,
wonderful to meet Annie in person.
yeah, you've known Katie and Annie now for like 7 years,
Yeah,
and yet you never met either of them in person. So that
that's
was
right.
fun. They appreciated that very much. Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah,
the
so
NTPA conference was a success, and we're looking forward to December in Miami. I mean,
I
who
know
doesn't look forward to December in Miami?
that's going to be another amazing, amazing trip. I'm looking forward to that as well. So yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm glad that we're not going to have to go to another baseball game.
Yeah, that was enough. I actually, Wrigley Field was sort of on my bucket list of places, even though I'm not a huge sports fan of baseball. So yeah, I don't need to go see another baseball game. I think I've seen all the ones I want to see in other
Okay.
cities. Yeah,
So now we've been doing a lot of travel, between the Baltimore excursion to IACA and the Chicago excursion for NTPA. I had to take a quick trip to New York, but then my
your
travel
trip to
is pretty
Barcelona.
much done for a while, but you really doubled down. You had a very quick turnaround to an international excursion, an odyssey, really.
I did.
Tell us where you went and where you are right now.
So the opportunity presented itself for me to take a trip to Europe. So that means I selected Vienna and
Well, it's
Prague.
funny you say an opportunity came up. You created that opportunity.
Well, it's
You're like
true.
you're not there for anything specific.
That is true. This is purely a fun trip.
Someone very
Um,
close to me, meaning myself, asked me if I wanted to go to Europe with them, with our.
and I said yes.
We
Um,
we had me and myself. We invited I.
all the Amy's present. There were three eyes.
That's right. It was unanimous. It was,
Okay, then you should go. um, but what is interesting, obviously, is um, I may have mentioned this before with Grand Canyon, but this trip has been fully planned and executed via ChatGPT.
Mhm.
I can tell you, I cannot say enough about the process of me selecting these cities, organizing everything I'm going to do, or I am doing, or did do so far. So for what it's worth, I've been in Vienna for the last few days. I arrived in Prague yesterday. I've got 2 more days in Prague. Um, so one of the things when I went into ChatGPT was like, okay, I've been to certain cities. I like history. I like culture. I like art. Here's what the cities I've traveled to before. What do you got for me? And so that's where these cities essentially got selected, or they were in the running, let's put it that way. Um, but what's been really fascinating is just every day. Well, obviously, it's really hot, Mike. It is. I picked these cities because it was supposed to be like
Yeah, you
74
could not have
degrees.
guessed that they are having a record-breaking heat wave.
Yeah, we're talking like 91, 95. I think it's supposed to be 101 degrees on the last day here.
Yeah,
It's it's my Italy trip like a few years ago where I specifically came here thinking I was going to be avoiding any type of real heat. Meanwhile,
right.
back at home in Cleveland, it's like 67 degrees.
You don't have to tell me.
But going back to Chat GPT and the planning, it's amazing every day to even put in what are things I want to do, lay
Yeah.
them out, be efficient, tell me what I should do first, second, third, how should I factor in the heat, where will I want to eat? When I go to a restaurant, let me show you the menu. I mean, I know it makes it sound like I have no agency here, but it's really
Well, I
making
you had to populate your prompt with your tastes.
well, and especially no, and just so you know, so as I've been here, what's also interesting is how the Prague trip evolved, knowing what I liked in Vienna, what I didn't like in Vienna, which
Oh,
what I
so
didn't like.
actually, so you changed your itinerary a little bit. ChatGPT helped you change your itinerary. So let me ask you,
Mhm.
I want you to be honest about this because sometimes we fear when we're dealing with AI models, propensity to hallucinations. Were you sent anywhere that didn't exist?
No, I mean, so that's what's interesting because I'm kind of tracking that, right? I like if something isn't there, if the time's wrong. I've yet to experience one thing. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. The only thing in the journey was in the very beginning planning. It Chat couldn't get right like the day of the week and the day of the month, meaning he would say it's like Thursday when it's really Wednesday. That
Right.
was the only thing in the early planning phases I noticed. And I've seen that again where it can't get straight that particular day, which is something you have to watch out for because if you're making plans and you're leaving a certain day, it could have been off, but that's the only hallucination. But what's interesting is as I've gone through is recognizing things. So for example, I'm a really huge history fan. So, and I've obviously traveled to Paris and Versailles. So as I'm visiting things, I'm typing things in like, how is Schönbrunn Palace and Versailles similar? And chat would be like, interesting, you'd notice that.
This is actually also your tour guide. You're interacting as you visit all these places.
Exactly. And like, oh, like, and then it's just the history of like, okay, now chat's giving me more information about like the Habsburgs and what I remember. One of my favorite things is when I was at the art museum and I was like, oh, I forgot about and seeing paintings of Habsburgs and realizing, oh, the Habsburg
Hmm.
jaw. And I typed that in, and chat's like, oh, yes, once you see it, you cannot miss it in any photo or
That's
any
that very
portrait.
recessive
So
chin,
that's
right? Yeah.
exactly. And obviously, so it's interesting because something you think about or want to know about, I would just type in. So it's just been really cool to feel like because I'm solo traveling too, that's an interaction for me as far as kind of talking about something, like talking about something I'm seeing. Um, my experience though, so I arrived in Prague yesterday, and I cannot tell you, I think how much I love it here. Um, it's, but my best comparison would be I've been to Florence, I've been to Venice. It reminds me so much of kind of traversing these little
Okay.
alleyways and that I remember, but I think it's the time period. So I have yet to have a conversation with ChatGPT about that
Hmm.
observation. And, so there's a little bit too of just being able, obviously we've got the internet, whatever, that we can search. We've been searching for years. But with ChatGPT, what's interesting for me is it's recalling my previous conversations.
So that's the
So it's
benefit
bringing
over
that
just
up.
like it's possible that you could have just searched all of this, but this
Right.
has more agency and more recall, and it's weaving what it perceives as your tastes and interests based on previous queries into its
Right.
answers.
So I'm learning to feed that in. So like I didn't necessarily set this up as being I'm Catholic,
Mhm.
whatever. I've been trying to see like in Prague, my itinerary tomorrow is to see a bunch of synagogues. So tomorrow's quote unquote like my Jewish day, if you want to call it that, of like Jewish history in Prague. But as chat recognizes things I'm asking, it's recommending things knowing, well, you saw this or you like this, or it remembers what I've done and here's what you should do. And today it gave me a little warning. It was, if you've already finished all these things already today, you might be treating this too much like a
Wow,
checklist and you should slow
that's
down.
nice. Little mental health.
Yeah. Or go back to your hotel, relax,
It said, chill
chill.
out,
I mean,
Amy.
right. So I think I would say to anybody in terms of planning a trip, it's amazing. But again, it's what you feed it. So it's like, oh, yes, give me more. So, like, for example, when I threw in Franz Kafka and like these dancing buildings, it's like, oh, you want some more modern stuff? No, I don't. I just want these things. So, but it's that idea, that you can think more about like what, again, it's like we know with chat, the prompts, right? What are the prompts? And it's only as good as its
Right.
operator. But I'm really been interested in like the whole, and you know how I am, the mystical, right? The mystical. So think about like, astrology versus
Mm,
astronomy, right? Or alchemy versus
yeah.
chemistry. And so Chat recommended some like tours and some things. And I'm learning how that's connected to Rudolph II, a Habsburg, emperor. So again, it's weaving things in ways that I might not have done that on my own.
That's impressive. I think that a lot of travelers are going to be happy to hear that you got some great results from consulting your AI model of choice, your new travel
Yes.
companion. And I think that
Yeah.
many of our listeners will join me in saying how proud we are of you on this solo adventure. It's not easy to
Yeah. And
travel, and it's not
the
easy to
last
enjoy it as much when you travel
Yeah, and it's
alone.
meeting exceeding any expectation. But of course, my favorite thing so far that you already know is I wanted to take a picture of myself a la Depeche Mode 1988 on the famous Charles Bridge. Um, I had met someone in Vienna on the train before I headed to Prague who was from Poland, living in Australia, and we had a great conversation. And then we sort of parted ways as we got onto our train. So this morning, very early, I showed up on the Charles Bridge to get that picture. And as I walked up to the statue I wanted the picture with, lo and behold, my Polish friend was standing there trying to do the same
Mm.
thing. And meanwhile, I hadn't seen her or talked to her since we boarded the train in Vienna and went our separate ways. And there she was. So we got to be in each other's
Yes.
photos, like posing for the photo we
Okay.
wanted. We met up again later today at Prague Castle. We had dinner together today. And so I feel like so lucky to have met someone and had an experience with them. And it just has made the trip feel just all even more special, which
Quite
is great.
serendipitous,
Yeah,
which is what happens when we travel and we're
yep,
open to experiences.
100%,
I love it.
100%. Yeah. So while I'm over here, toiling away across the European continent,
Toiling.
Mike, tell me a
We all
little,
feel bad for
tell
you.
me a little bit more about. That's right. But where are you toiling? We know that you've started your
Hmm.
garden. So tell us, Mike, how is your
How is my
garden
garden grow?
growing?
So, you know, interestingly, the Great Lakes region is kind of like a rainforest at this point. Constant rain is really good for growth. Uh, and this
Yeah,
year, so I'm growing tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, I'm growing strawberries, and I'm growing potatoes, and I'm growing a host of like
potatoes.
native plants. So like I did a lot of regular planting, tons of flowers, things like that. And I gotta say, so we'll start with the last first. The like everything I planted in the spring in terms of the shrubs and the trees and the flowers, everything is blooming. Everything is coming together. I feel like first my neighbors might think that I have a kind of messy habitat, but I'm pretty sure I have some of the highest biodiversity in my county per square foot because I just got so many different
That's
things
cool.
going on and it's fun to do it. So I'm very happy with how all that's coming together. And we're just getting into the point where like you can see flowers everywhere. And I have a lot of things that will continue to bloom well into the fall. The
That's awesome. But you've not like nothing has come out of the garden yet, right? Or
Not
no?
yet. Actually, today I need to go out there
Yeah.
because so my strawberries, I grew a lot of
Okay,
strawberries.
that's what I
Like
was
I
going
had
to
bare root
ask.
strawberries, and anybody who knows what that means, like you order them and they come and they're just like twigs and roots, and you plant them and they're supposed to grow really well. My strawberries look really good, but they're not throwing off any
Hmm.
berries. I had a berry last week while I was away, but apparently some critter snatched it.
Hmm.
So I built a mesh cage
Oh
around
no.
it. And now we have one berry that just turned red, and I got to go get it. Because like yesterday it wasn't quite
The
ready,
lonely
the lone
berry.
berry. So I mean, we're all gonna feast on this single berry and see how it is. I know we'll get more berries eventually, but I don't know. I have a lot of June bearing plants, and June is almost over.
Yeah. No, I'm imagining your whole family sitting around with one berry
Exactly.
and
We're
like
gonna we're
cutting it
gonna have
into
these
four
tiny little
pieces.
knives and forks. We're gonna slice it up. My tomatoes, on the other hand, are well ahead of schedule. I plant cherry
Ah.
tomatoes because the growing season is so short here that I just don't feel, and I don't get a ton of sun, so I don't feel confident that when I
Hmm.
grow full tomatoes, I might get just a handful and then they're done. But cherry
Yeah.
tomatoes keep going. But
Yeah.
I already have cherry tomatoes on. Like they're green, they're little, but I, these things are shooting up. They're growing like crazy, and my potatoes are growing too. So I'm still months away from potatoes, but I'm going to have
That's
potatoes.
what I say. So when potentially will
So
that you be
they
able to
just
harvest the
flowered,
potatoes?
and that's a signal that they are going to grow potatoes, but I don't think you have to wait until the plant actually dies back. And it's probably going to
Okay.
be a couple of months. I think that that's like a
Yeah.
September or
Hmm.
October harvest, but that's fine. I mean, because like they still have a lot of growing to do, but they're growing very nicely because of
Hmm.
the constant rain. Yeah.
Right. Well, you're lucky. See, you choose a year to grow things where the weather is now like your
Yeah, I
friend,
mean, right?
right?
Like I feel like a farmer. I'm at the mercy of forces beyond my control.
Actually, when you said that, all of a sudden I had this image of Farmer Mike wearing
Oh yeah, totally.
overalls.
That's exactly how I dress to go and water my tomatoes. They're in an earth box. I just go and I plug the hose into the tank,
You're like,
and I mean it's so easy. But I've done a lot. I had to
yeah,
build like
that's
an
cool.
apparatus to support the tomatoes and all of that. It's good fun.
Yeah. I laugh that you're describing this defensive farming techniques, saving the crops
Totally.
against, the wildlife that wants to like take
I'm
it away
really
from
glad
you.
that my
Like, you're like, don't
yeah,
deny me the fruits
the
of my
fruits of
labor,
my single
literally.
strawberry. I'm glad that my life doesn't depend on my ability to grow a crop.
Well, I mean, given my sort of recent, like in history, just thinking about that, right? It is true. I mean, it does make you think about in history, right? When like, one season doesn't go well and people can't
Yeah,
eat,
but also how fortunate we
Yeah,
are to live in an era of specialization where those that want to
right,
till the soil may do so, and those
right.
that would like to
Hmm.
do other work can afford produce. Because that's
Yeah.
right. And
Yeah.
it's just no matter how many potatoes I'm going to grow, I'm not going to grow enough for a family,
Hmm.
let alone enough to throw off
Right.
excess
Yeah.
expense or revenue.
Yeah. You just want a few good meals out
Listen,
of it all,
summer,
right?
this is my favorite season, and this is part of what I look forward to. I look forward to the spring to fall celebration of life that is gardening and landscaping and just kind of encouraging pollinators to and other animals. I mean, we had baby rabbits, we've had all kinds of baby birds, we've gone through that. So it's fun. And I mean, I live in suburbia. I live in an urban suburban area, and there's still a ton going on.
Hmm. That's great. Yeah. Unfortunately, or I should say, fortunately for me, I don't think about a green thumb. That
Right.
is not an
Right.
aspiration of my, well, who wants to have a green thumb when they have this like wandering, traveling spirit, right? I wouldn't be around to tend to the
It's funny
garden.
because I know a lot of people who are international travelers, like bird guides, who they're away a lot, but when they're home, they've got like they've got a lot of things growing. So I think it's just
Ah.
it's a nice balance. It's a nice way to make home
Hmm.
someplace you want to be.
Well, do you think it's another way for like obviously you are, I mean, I think of you as a
Yeah,
wanderer, a
right.
traveler. I think of you obviously with birding and interest in the environment. I think maybe what it is the garden is something that gives you pleasure because you can do it on your own in your own
I can do it in my own
backyard,
backyard,
right?
and
You can experience
it makes
nature.
my plot more interesting to me because, right, it can be very simple to say that
Hmm.
the world is out there and here is just where I hang out while I'm waiting for my next trip. But because I've got
Yeah.
this very long-term project going, I'm working on things that I can just look out the window every single day. And if I see like one fraction of a change in the direction I want, I'm like, wow, that's really cool. So I can't have the immediate enjoyment of arriving in a new city or visiting a new country or seeing a suite of new flora and fauna. It's an interesting journey, but it feels like a journey. It's a journey
Hmm.
that I'm taking with this plot of land in upstate New York. Yeah.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
What else does the summer
Yeah.
hold? I mean, eventually you're coming home, right?
Eventually. No, when I think about the summer, one of the things I really look forward to, and I feel like this summer is really full of, is just spending time with family. Like, really, I mean, there's something about the winter where people kind of, you all kind of hide out, whatever, you hunker down. And I don't know, between like things like Memorial Day, July 4th, Labor Day, we have summer birthdays in our house. My sister's a teacher, so she's not working and she's more available. Like that, looking forward to just spending more time with different members of like my kids. It just feels like we get more time. Like obviously my Haley and Ben both work and both
Hmm.
tutor. Their schedules look different this
Yeah,
summer too, where it frees up like evenings or
that's right.
weekends. And I think that's the one thing about summer in tutoring is we're able to possibly create sometimes a more normal, quote
It's
unquote,
a
schedule
really
sometimes because
overlooked benefit. People don't think about that summer should be in test prep, if in SAT and ACT prep, summer should be a busy time, but you can get as close as you ever will to conventional hours.
right, exactly. So there's something about a summer evening, late
Mhm.
afternoon, where like I'm done tutoring and I'm free. Or for me, I've always tried to put a priority on not working weekends in the summer, which is a gift, right? And so yeah, so those moments or those times are free to just feel like, you know, a normal person and a normal schedule. But again, for me, it's like spending with the
Yeah.
kids. I just very much enjoy that spending time with the kids.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's definitely more of a family time. My daughter's home. My brother and his family is coming up for the 4th of July weekend, as they always do. And then my niece is going to
Mhm.
stay with us for a couple of weeks, and that's going to be fun. We're going to find things to do with
Ah,
her, my young niece. And then,
oh, nice.
and so when people ask, like, what's your next trip? I don't have any international travel planned. Any domestic travel is just going to be random because I don't want to
Yeah.
go anywhere for July or August or even September. The Finger Lakes are the place to be.
And I have this goal to get
One
up there.
day, I
Like I
mean,
know
you've
I
gotten yourself all the way across to Europe. You could probably get yourself here
I
along
there
the
yeah,
thruway.
I've got to come see this
Yeah,
garden.
right.
I mean, like that's what I've got to be witness to. But yeah, but and then June, like really kind of with this episode, we're like June's over.
Mhm.
And so we're like, wow, we're gonna be in July. And so what are you looking anything special you got going on? You said you're gonna July 4th,
Yeah, no, just
family, your
that.
niece coming
Summer
in.
is just time with family, going out, hiking, gardening. Just I'm
Mhm.
happier when it's warm. Even if I'm
Yeah.
stuck at my desk, if the sun is out and the
What
warm
level
wind
of
is
warm?
blowing through the window, I'm like, this is living. This is great.
Um, I don't like it to be
Yeah,
too warm.
well,
Let
right.
let let's just say not too warm. Which will be funny coming home. Watch, I'll come home and now it'll be like 500 degrees
Hmm.
at home. Not 500 Fahrenheit. It will be like 33 Celsius, because
Yeah.
I'm all about
Yeah, you're
Celsius these
figuring
last
it
few
out.
days. Um, yeah, but I'm excited. I come home and yeah, I've got a couple like I got family stuff
Mhm.
going on. So I'm excited for family stuff. Going to do a family trip to Maine. I haven't done that with my kids in a few years, so super excited about what that'll be like in July.
How
Yeah.
exciting. Well, Amy, obviously we could talk about ourselves all day. Unfortunately, we are out of time.
It's always a pleasure, Mike.
The pleasure, as always, is mine.
Awesome. We hope you enjoyed this discussion as much as we did. Be sure to join us for another fascinating topic and guest on the next test and the rest.
Did you enjoy this episode as much as we did? Find expanded links and more for this and all of our episodes at our show page at testsandtherest.com. While you're there, be sure to explore everything the larger TestBright site has to offer, including real, expert, unbiased answers to the toughest admissions testing questions. Of course, we'd love for you to rate, review, and subscribe to Test and the Rest on your favorite podcast platform. If there's a topic or guest you'd like us to feature, just let us know and spread the word.